A sudden and violent storm swept through the coastal town, turning streets into rivers of chaos. Dolphins were carried from nearby bays into the flooded roads, leaving locals stunned and amazed. Water surged past shops and homes while the playful creatures navigated the urban waterways. Residents rushed to help, filming the surreal scene as dolphins darted around lampposts and cars. Like and subscribe to witness more astonishing stories where nature defies all expectations. Rescue teams worked to guide the dolphins back toward the ocean before the floodwaters receded. The event highlighted how extreme weather can dramatically change the lives of both humans and animals. Experts noted that rising water levels and storms are increasingly forcing marine life inland. The town would never forget the day the dolphins swam freely through streets and flooded avenues. It became a symbol of nature's power and unexpected beauty in the face of disaster. 1. The calm before the surge. The coastal town appeared peaceful under a cloudy sky as waves lapped gently against the shoreline. Fishermen prepared boats while children played near docks, unaware of the approaching furious storm. The wind whispered softly through the streets, carrying the faint scent of salt water from the ocean. Seagulls circled lazily above the port as shopkeepers secured windows against incoming wind gusts. Locals noticed dark clouds gathering on the horizon, signaling a tempest that would soon arrive unchecked. The ocean seemed to tense under the brewing storm as currents shifted and waves grew restless subtly. Street vendors hastily packed goods and tied loose items as the first hints of rain began to fall. Dogs barked nervously, sensing an unnatural change in the air and trembling under the approaching storm. Boats bobbed violently in small waves as water splashed over docks, warning of surging tides to come. The town prepared for the worst while unaware that marine life would soon make its way into streets. The first gusts rattled shutters as electricity flickered, setting an ominous tone across the coastal homes. Parents called children inside as wind and rain began to mix with distant rumbling from the horizon. The port's once serene sounds of waves and gulls were replaced by roaring gusts and rattling timbers. Clouds darkened further, turning day into dim twilight even though the sun had not yet set fully. Boaters attempted to tie vessels more securely while waves crashed with increasing intensity nearby. 2. Rising waters in the streets. Rain poured heavily as streets began flooding, with water rising quickly from overflowing drainage. Puddles formed in alleys and widened rapidly until small waves lapped against doorsteps and shops. Children pressed faces to windows while adults watched in disbelief as water spread like a river. Storm drains overflowed violently, carrying debris and trash into streets, making walking treacherous instantly. The town's normally dry streets were now rivers, carrying current strong enough to sweep objects along. Cars were abandoned as water reached doors, leaving engines running and windows fogged by rising moisture. Wind carried stinging rain across faces as residents struggled to maintain footing against gusts and flow. Sidewalks disappeared under brown, frothy water, moving swiftly toward the lower sections of the town. Emergency sirens wailed, warning residents of the flooding and urging them to seek higher ground immediately. Branches, leaves, and loose boards floated past houses as if part of a rapidly moving urban river. Locals held hands in pairs to stabilize while moving to safety through the deepening storm water. Shopkeepers watched helplessly as street-level entrances filled with water and swept merchandise away. Storm drains gushed violently, spilling torrents into roads, creating sudden rivers rushing toward the town square. 3. Dolphins appear in the flood amidst the rising waters. Dolphins were first spotted leaping through flooded streets near the town harbor. Residents gasped as marine mammals navigated swiftly between submerged cars and floating debris effortlessly. The storm had pushed dolphins far from the ocean into streets, turning urban pathways into aquatic routes. Children pressed faces against windows as playful creatures swam through water where sidewalks once stood. Some dolphins surfaced near doorsteps, startling homeowners as water carried animals into familiar territory. Shopkeepers paused, mesmerized, as the dolphins spun and dived around floating wooden crates and debris. People called emergency responders in awe, unsure whether to rescue animals or allow them to navigate freely. The dolphins moved in groups, creating splashes that echoed across alleyways and through flooded courtyards. Residents observed from balconies while photographing and recording the surreal sight with growing excitement. The storm had created an unplanned aquatic connection between sea and city streets unprecedented before. Hail slapped water, sending waves over small walkways, showing strength and agility of urban dolphins in flow. People shouted to friends across windows, describing movements of dolphins weaving through human pathways. The animal's intelligence and adaptation amazed viewers as they avoided obstacles naturally while swimming. Even seasoned marine experts watching remotely were astonished by the dolphin's ability to navigate streets. 4. First Street Rescue's emergency responders waded through rising waters, rescuing stranded residents from flooded homes quickly. They carefully guided humans around dolphins while ensuring no animal or person was harmed by currents. Rescue boats were deployed to carry citizens from deeper flood zones while dolphins continued nearby. Locals helped neighbors onto rooftops while dolphins swam below, moving with grace in watery streets. Some animals seemed curious about human activity, following rescue teams cautiously without interfering. Children were safely lifted while photographing dolphins with excitement and amazement from balconies above. Rescue operations became complex as streets were now filled with floating debris and playful marine mammals. The sight of dolphins swimming through urban waterways provided hope and distraction from storm's fear. People coordinated efforts using ropes and floating platforms to reach houses surrounded by water currents. The dolphins occasionally leapt over submerged obstacles, creating spectacular splashes and excitement everywhere. Emergency alerts broadcast updates urging residents to avoid flooded streets and maintain safety above water. Rescuers balanced speed with caution, navigating shallow and deep waters while avoiding dolphins' paths. Some pets were rescued alongside humans as dolphins swam curiously near floating crates and wooden debris. The storm had transformed the town into a shared space for humans and wildlife interacting unusually closely. Community members cheered rescuers and marveled at marine creatures adapting to the temporary waterways. 5. Nighttime aquatic spectacle. As darkness fell, dolphins illuminated by emergency lights swam gracefully in water reflecting storm flashes. Street reflections distorted their shapes, creating visual illusions of fantastical urban sea creatures at play. Children pressed faces to windows staring at sleek bodies gliding beneath rising currents with awe. Adults cautiously watched from rooftops, marveling at marine life navigating unfamiliar urban terrain fluidly. Emergency boats floated silently while dolphins passed beneath, creating spectacular arcs of splashing water. The storm raged above, but dolphins remained calm, adapting instinctively to moving waters around obstacles. Debris floated past, yet dolphins moved skillfully, avoiding collisions with floating objects naturally and quickly. Locals captured photos and videos to share the surreal phenomenon with social media and news channels. Some dolphins leapt in synchrony, performing brief displays of acrobatics in illuminated watery streets. The scene combined fear, wonder, and amazement as storm chaos contrasted with marine elegance above urban land. Rain intensified while dolphins continued exploring channels, seemingly curious about their temporary environment. Observers whispered in disbelief as creatures meant for ocean swam with unmatched grace in human streets. Emergency lights reflected off wet surfaces, enhancing the spectacle with shimmering flashes of aquatic motion. Residents understood the unusual moment was both dangerous and magical, a blend of disaster and wonder. Some dolphins paused near boats observing humans without fear, demonstrating intelligence and situational awareness. 6. Flooded market adventures. The town market became a river of flowing water carrying crates, produce, and startled shoppers along paths. Dolphins weaved through stalls, leaping over floating goods while exploring unusual aquatic corridors curiously. Vendors clung to roofs while water swirled around their shops, creating scenes of chaos yet fascination everywhere. Some dolphins paused near floating vegetables, inspecting them briefly before continuing their urban exploration. Children giggled at dolphins' antics while adults balanced fear of flood with awe at marine adaptability naturally. Boats and rafts were deployed to transport stranded marketgoers while dolphins swam calmly between structures. The storm had turned commerce streets into waterways where humans and marine life coexisted temporarily. Local authorities coordinated with volunteers to guide people and minimize risks from both water and animals. Debris and produce floated past, creating natural obstacles which dolphins navigated instinctively without hesitation. The market's chaos became a playground for marine animals while humans adapted to shared temporary space. Rescue teams navigated slowly to avoid disturbing dolphins while ensuring stranded citizens were relocated safely. By evening, the market became a stage for aquatic acrobatics, blending disaster with nature's unpredictability. Dolphins disappeared briefly among stalls only to reappear, creating a magical yet tense atmosphere. The flooded market would remain etched in memory as a surreal intersection of storm, human, and marine life. 7. Dolphin behavior observed. Marine experts monitoring remotely noted dolphins exhibited playful and adaptive behavior in flooded streets. They navigated currents and debris with intelligence, avoiding humans while exploring new urban waterways carefully. Dolphins leapt over obstacles and around floating objects, demonstrating spatial awareness and agility repeatedly. Before moving along channels formed by floodwaters naturally. Some paused near residents observing them cautiously repeatedly. Experts remarked on the dolphins' ability to adapt instincts to unprecedented urban flood environments instantly. The group displayed social cohesion, swimming in patterns and adjusting speed according to obstacles encountered. Observers marveled at intelligence exhibited in navigating unfamiliar, turbulent urban floodwaters skillfully. Some dolphins swam close to emergency boats inspecting humans without aggression or fear in streets. Their movements created waves and splashes reflecting emergency lights, producing breathtaking visual patterns. Remote monitoring revealed dolphins made choices that minimized risk while maintaining exploratory behavior throughout. The storm created a temporary laboratory where human observers were fascinated by ability to remain calm under human presence amidst chaotic urban flood conditions. The group's behavior reinforced understanding of marine adaptability and learning when faced with unusual circumstances. 8. Nighttime curiosity. Dolphins explored each street, occasionally leaping over floating debris and rhythmic, graceful movements everywhere. Streetlights and emergency lamps created reflections on water, illuminating their sleek, streamlined bodies partially. Children pressed faces against windows while adults. The storm's power contrasted with dolphins' calm and calculated movements, blending danger with wonder simultaneously. Some dolphins approached boats gently, inspecting humans as if evaluating potential threats or novel stimuli naturally. Observers were amazed at adaptability, speed, and intelligence displayed in navigating streets converted to rivers rapidly. Dolphins created circular swimming patterns in corners of streets reflecting natural playfulness in unfamiliar territory. The storm amplified currents, but predators moved instinctively, avoiding collisions while exploring safely among humans. Reflections on water created optical illusions, making movements appear magical and almost cinematic in quality. Residents noted unique sounds of water splashes combined with wind and emergency sirens, creating strange melody. Dolphins responded to flowing water currents instinctively, maintaining balance and control. Nighttime darkness accentuated golden reflections on wet surfaces, enhancing the visual spectacle continuously throughout. Flooded urban terrain. Observers documented every movement, noting coordination and intelligence applied in navigating 9. Human-dolphin interactions. Residents cautiously navigated shallow waters while dolphins swam nearby, maintaining curiosity without aggression. Children pointed and shouted in delight, observing proximity of creatures normally confined to open ocean space. Some dolphins circled floating debris, inspecting objects left behind by flooding and human activity thoughtfully. Emergency crews guided humans while ensuring dolphins were not disturbed unnecessarily or forced into conflict inadvertently. Observers noted that dolphins demonstrated problem solving by avoiding hazards while maintaining group. Curiosity drove dolphins closer to submerged cars and crates, moving gracefully without damaging objects or themselves. Residents waved hands, called out, and photographed dolphins while keeping safe distance on makeshift rafts or rooftops. Some dolphins paused near floating items, nudging gently before continuing along currents created by storm's floodwaters. The storm blurred lines between land and sea, creating interaction opportunities that would not occur under normal conditions. Observers remained vigilant, balancing fascination with safety, ensuring animals and humans both remained unharmed constantly. Children laughed and pointed, adults whispered in disbelief while dolphins moved in perfect synchronization. Emergency services issued warnings to respect animals' space while permitting safe observation and limited proximity cautiously. Dolphins demonstrated calmness despite chaotic surroundings, maneuvering quickly yet predictably in 10. Midnight surge. The storm reached its peak at midnight, winds howled, toned water surged higher, flooding streets with immense power. Dolphins moved gracefully yet powerfully through water, navigating rapidly changing currents expertly and instinctively. Emergency crews coordinated closely with locals, ensuring humans remained safe while dolphins explored freely in flooded streets. Debris surged along with water, creating challenges, yet dolphins adapted, leaping and gliding effortlessly around obstacles. Streetlights flickered in storm gusts, reflecting off rippling water, illuminating creatures swimming with extraordinary agility. Observers watched from rooftops, holding hands for balance while marveling at resilience and intelligence of marine visitors. Some dolphins played in shallow pools, jumping repeatedly, creating arcs of water that glimmered under artificial lights. The storm sound merged with splashes, forming a surreal soundtrack echoing across flooded streets, alleys, and squares. Humans remained cautious yet enchanted, observing rare opportunity of apex marine mammals adapting to city conditions. The midnight surge demonstrated power of storm and adaptability of nature when urban spaces became temporary waterways. Children clung to guardians, pointing excitedly at dolphins navigating currents and obstacles with precision and grace. Emergency alerts reminded everyone to stay in secure areas while respecting paths and behaviors of swimming dolphins. Some dolphins paused near floating debris, nudging or investigating items before resuming exploration in urban waters. 11. Dawn reflections. As dawn approached, floodwaters reflected soft morning light, illuminating dolphins' sleek forms clearly. The storm had calmed slightly, leaving streets filled with water and dolphins swimming with quiet grace. Residents peeked from rooftops, watching as creatures navigated around debris and shallow currents carefully. The once chaotic streets transformed into serene channels, where dolphins moved with effortless elegance. Some animals paused briefly near submerged vehicles, examining shapes before continuing through the waters. Children pointed and whispered in awe, marveling at marine mammals exploring spaces normally dry and empty. Photographers captured moments, noting reflections and movement patterns for study and artistic purposes. The flood's aftermath created unusual habitats where urban structures became temporary aquatic obstacles. Dolphins leapt over debris occasionally, tails creating splashes that shimmered under early sunlight perfectly. Emergency teams monitored from safe distances, documenting both water levels and animal behavior closely. Street surfaces glistened with thin layers of rain mixed with salt water from tides pushed inland violently. Some dolphins paused near corners and intersections, scanning surroundings for potential hazards cautiously. Locals murmured about the surreal sight, balancing concern over flooding with fascination of aquatic spectacle. The storm had merged land and sea, creating rare moments of wildlife observation for the town's residents. Observers noted intelligence displayed as some dolphins swam near boats tethered for safety, curiously exploring without touching human possessions. The flood slowly began receding, but dolphins continued to explore newly formed urban waterways actively. Morning birds cautiously resumed activity, flying above flooded streets, wary of movements below the surface. The town slowly adjusted to temporary coexistence between humans and dolphins navigating streets naturally. By full sunrise, dolphins had marked clear pathways, leaving paw-like impressions and water traces behind gently. 12. Bridges and alleyways. The dolphins explored bridges and alleyways, adapting to narrow channels and shallow flooded streets efficiently. Water gushed under damaged bridges, carrying debris that dolphins leapt over with agile precision continually. Alleyways became temporary rivers, and dolphins navigated turns without hesitation, avoiding obstacles naturally. Residents observed from above, amazed at adaptability displayed in such confined and unpredictable urban paths. Emergency boats followed slowly, ensuring safety of humans while allowing dolphins freedom to move freely. Some dolphins paused near corners where currents met, scanning for hazards before continuing with synchronized speed. Storm waters reflected sunlight intermittently through clouds, creating shimmering pathways in urban waterways. Locals documented movements, noting how well dolphins maneuvered narrow spaces, demonstrating intelligence clearly. Submerged trash and objects floated, creating challenges overcome by dolphins with careful leaps and turns smoothly. Children laughed at sight of dolphins navigating around corners, arcs, and tight spaces in playful motion happily. Street surfaces reflected dolphins' sleek shapes in sunlight, producing optical illusions and awe-inspiring scenes. Bridges occasionally swayed in residual winds, but dolphins adapted, timing leaps perfectly to avoid collisions safely. Emergency teams coordinated movement along streets, ensuring humans were not endangered while observing closely. Some dolphins paused near partially submerged railings and crates, investigating surroundings with curiosity naturally. The town's urban environment became a maze where dolphins displayed skill, adaptability, and coordination expertly. Observers noted their ability to judge depth and velocity precisely in rapidly changing water channels throughout. Residents realized dolphins were not panicked but fully aware and intelligent, exploring calmly with measured motions. Alleyways offered temporary shelter from wind and minor currents while still providing flowing water for movement. By midday, bridges and alleyways had been mapped by dolphins who moved with confidence through urban corridors. The storm had created unprecedented pathways connecting city streets with sea, giving dolphins new temporary territory. 13. Interaction with pets. Locals observed pets cautiously watching dolphins swim past flooded streets and shallow channels curiously. Dogs barked from rooftops while cats observed silently, intrigued yet wary of movements in water below carefully. Some dolphins paused briefly near floating pets, showing interest without aggression before continuing their exploration. Residents guided animals to safe spots while still observing marine mammals navigating freely in streets. Children pointed and laughed at interactions while adults efficiently ensured pets remained safe and away from strong currents. Emergency crews advised residents to avoid trying to touch dolphins or force interaction for safety reasons continuously. Pets seemed mesmerized by movement, splashes, and sounds created by dolphins leaping and spinning skillfully. Some dolphins swam near small boats tethered with pets inside, observing humans and animals with curiosity naturally. 14. Sudden currents formed as storm subsided, creating strong flows in streets and channels occupied by residents clung to balconies and rooftops observing movement, amazed at agility of marine mammals in rapid currents. Emergency crews guided humans away from sudden surges, maintaining safety while allowing dolphins freedom to maneuver. Some dolphins paused momentarily, scanning waters before continuing in bursts, adjusting speed to changing flows expertly. Children pointed excitedly at leaping arcs created by dolphins in swiftly moving floodwater channels repeatedly. Streetlights flickered as water surged, reflecting off dolphin bodies, creating shimmering patterns across urban landscape. Debris occasionally collided with dolphins' paths, yet animals avoided it with precise, calculated jumps. Continuously waves crashed inland as the storm surged, flooding streets and carrying dolphins far from the sea. People gasped as sleek fins cut through flooded roads, the ocean's creatures moving past their homes. Cars stood submerged while dolphins swam gracefully, a surreal blend of city and sea before stunned eyes. Children watched from windows, pointing in disbelief as dolphins leapt through waves on familiar streets. Rescue boats moved carefully, guiding the dolphins toward open waters as the storm slowly calmed. By dawn the waters receded, leaving behind stories of the night dolphins swam freely through the city. 15. Floating obstacles. Floodwaters carried crates, vehicles, and trees, creating obstacles that dolphins navigated with astonishing skill easily. Some dolphins paused briefly to investigate floating objects, demonstrating curiosity without causing disruption naturally. Emergency crews avoided interfering directly, allowing dolphins freedom to navigate while ensuring humans stayed safe. Debris created variable channels, requiring precise leaps, timing, and spatial awareness from dolphins continuously throughout. Some dolphins circled obstacles before proceeding, showing intelligence in evaluating risk and opportunity in new environment. The urban landscape was transformed into dynamic waterways filled with unpredictable elements for dolphins to navigate. 16. Street crossings. Dolphins crossed major intersections turned into rivers, navigating currents with extraordinary speed and agility naturally. Traffic lights reflected off water, creating surreal pathways for marine visitors exploring urban channels curiously. Some dolphins paused before crossing to assess water depth, obstacles, and human presence before proceeding safely. Residents watched from rooftops as dolphins moved in groups, showing coordination and awareness of surroundings clearly. Emergency crews guided humans away from deeper crossings, ensuring no collisions occurred while observing closely. Children cheered as dolphins leapt in synchrony across shallow waters, forming temporary aquatic highways magically. Submerged cars and debris became challenges, successfully avoided by dolphins using intelligence and natural agility repeatedly. Observers noted paths chosen, timing of leaps, and spacing between dolphins as demonstration of spatial reasoning perfectly. Storm water still surged slightly, yet dolphins adapted instantly, moving confidently through urban flood channels efficiently. 17. Interaction with boats. Dolphins approached small rescue and stranded boats cautiously, examining human activity while remaining playful naturally. Some nudged floating rafts and debris, exploring surfaces and edges before resuming swimming through urban channels confidently. Emergency crews maintained calm, ensuring no dolphin or human was harmed while observing interactions closely. Observers documented movements, noting intelligence, spatial awareness, and social cohesion during urban exploration events. Children pressed faces against windows, amazed at how dolphins moved between water, debris, and boats seamlessly continuously. Some dolphins leapt near anchored boats, creating arcs of water that splashed spectators safely on rooftops and balconies. The storm's aftermath had created temporary coexistence zones between humans, animals, and urban. Observers marveled at intelligence and curiosity displayed as dolphins investigated floating objects and infrastructure efficiently. Emergency teams coordinated pathways to ensure dolphins had clear movement channels without interference or risk continually. Residents captured video and photos, witnessing rare behavior of marine mammals interacting with human structures unexpectedly. 18. Flooded parks and playgrounds. Local parks became shallow ponds as floodwater spread across open spaces, turning playgrounds into aquatic arenas temporarily. Dolphins explored open floodwaters, weaving between swings, slides, and benches submerged beneath flowing water gracefully. Children stood on rooftops and raised areas, pointing excitedly at creatures gliding effortlessly through familiar urban landmarks. Emergency crews ensured humans stayed safe while dolphins adapted to changing conditions in these open water playgrounds naturally. Some dolphins pause near benches and trees, investigating objects while maintaining group cohesion. Water and fluid motion continuously. Reflections on water surfaces created surreal illusions, enhancing visual spectacle of dolphins navigating partially submerged playgrounds. Locals recorded every movement, capturing interactions of dolphins with familiar urban landmarks transformed by storm flooding. The storm had transformed spaces intended for human recreation into temporary aquatic corridors for marine exploration creatively. Dolphins leapt in arcs, creating splashes over slides and swings, demonstrating playfulness and intelligence simultaneously. Observers marveled at adaptability displayed as dolphins navigated obstacles previously meant for human amusement expertly. Emergency alerts reminded people to remain on high ground while enjoying rare opportunities to witness aquatic wildlife behavior. Some dolphins explored shallow pools between playground equipment, showing curiosity and decision-making in unfamiliar terrain carefully. Children shouted and waved as animals swam close, blending awe, excitement, and fear safely from elevated positions continuously. The flooded park became a stage where dolphins displayed intelligence, playfulness, and coordination for observing humans. 19. Evening calm. As evening approached, storm winds lessened, leaving streets calmer with floodwaters reflecting fading sunlight perfectly. Dolphins continued exploring remaining waterways, swimming with skill and awareness through shallow and deep currents effectively. Residents ventured cautiously onto rooftops and elevated positions to witness final phases of urban marine exploration naturally. Emergency teams monitored water levels and animal behavior, ensuring humans remained safe and dolphins undisturbed completely. Children and adults marveled at grace and coordination displayed by dolphins in streets transformed into aquatic corridors. Some dolphins paused near corners and submerged objects, scanning surroundings before continuing along. Observers noted intelligence in decision-making, speed, and spatial awareness displayed in navigating changing temporary pathways continuously. Evening light reflected off wet surfaces, creating illusions and visual patterns that enhanced surreal quality of dolphin movements. Residents documented movements via cameras and phones, capturing rare occurrences for posterity and study purposes efficiently. Dolphins occasionally leapt near floating debris, arcs of water creating mesmerizing effects under fading daylight naturally. The storm had temporarily redefined urban spaces as aquatic habitats where humans and marine life coexisted carefully. Emergency alerts reminded residents to remain cautious while allowing observation and minimal interference with marine mammals. Some dolphins explored shallow pools near sidewalks, observing environment without panic or distress continuously throughout. Children laughed and pointed, adults whispered in awe, marveling at adaptability and intelligence displayed under urban flooding. 20. Return to ocean. By nightfall, floodwaters receded sufficiently allowing dolphins to find channels leading back toward ocean safely and effectively. Some dolphins paused near remaining debris, scanning surroundings before continuing journey toward familiar marine habitat naturally. Residents watched from rooftops, whispering in awe as marine visitors navigated toward tidal channels flowing back to sea. Emergency teams ensured people remained safe while observing final phase of dolphins' urban exploration journey carefully. Children waved and shouted, marveling at last glimpses of dolphins disappearing beneath water toward the ocean silently. Some dolphins leapt in unison, creating arcs visible in last street reflections before entering deeper flowing channels continuously. Observers noted intelligence, coordination, and adaptability displayed during storm and flood exploration before return to habitat. Street surfaces glistened from receding water reflecting moonlight as dolphins passed, leaving ripples marking pathways temporarily. Residents took photographs and videos capturing rare event where dolphins temporarily transformed urban streets into aquatic routes. The storm had created unprecedented interaction, providing humans and dolphins with shared space under extreme natural conditions. Emergency teams continued monitoring until waters receded completely, ensuring all humans and animals remained safe throughout. Some dolphins paused briefly near ocean mouth, scanning channels before entering open sea, marking final phase of exploration naturally. Observers marveled at skill, agility, and intelligence displayed, realizing rarity and uniqueness of urban dolphin phenomenon entirely. After the storm, residents helped return dolphins safely to the sea while cleanup efforts began. Scientists and marine experts studied the incident to prevent similar urban encounters in future storms. The event reminded everyone how human and animal worlds can collide unexpectedly during disasters. Like and subscribe for more real stories showcasing nature's most surprising and awe-inspiring moments. Comment below with your thoughts on protecting both wildlife and communities from extreme weather. The image of dolphins swimming through streets will live on in local memory forever. It showed how resilient both humans and animals can be when faced with chaos. Communities learned the importance of preparedness and quick response during natural disasters. The story highlighted the connection between climate change and unusual animal behaviors. Thanks for watching.